Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about English words that have the same spelling. They're spelled the same, but they have different meanings and pronunciations. So these can be really annoying for learners because it looks like the same word, but it can actually be pronounced differently and have a different meaning depending on the situation. So let's have a look at this together. The first one is bow versus bow. Bow and bow. Again, they look the same, but different words completely. So the first one, bow. This can be a noun or a verb. And this is talking about bowing your head, right? Like a performer might do at the end of a performance. After the performance, the actors took a bow. Okay, like that. So this is bow, and this can be a noun or a verb. Right here, it's actually a noun. And then we have bow. So this word is pronounced bow. And it's what you use to shoot somebody if you want to shoot them with an arrow. So we often talk about a bow and arrow. The archer had a bow and arrow. The next one is lead and lead. Both of these words are spelled L-E-A-D. But what's the difference? Let's have a look. Lead can be a verb or a noun. It means to lead somebody to a certain place, to take them to a certain place. For example, I'll go first and you follow my lead. So here it's pronounced lead. But then this word can also be pronounced lead. Okay, lead is a type of metal which can be poisonous if it gets into your body. So this is what pipes used to be made of. In the past, pipes were often made from lead. So this is pronounced lead. The next one is close and close. So the first one has s at the end, the S sound, and the second one has z at the end, close. What's the difference? So close can be an adjective. It means near to something or not far from something. I think the beach is very close to here. Very close. This means quite close to us, not far away. But if it's pronounced close with a z at the end, can you hear the difference? The first one was close. Second one is close. So close, this means to shut something, to shut it up. For example, close a window, close a door, etc. Could you help me to close the door? That's my daughter in the background making a load of noise, but it's all good. We'll leave that in. Just before we carry on, I just want to tell you that if you haven't already, do feel free to sign up for my free British accent training, which I've got in a link in the description to this video. Just click on that link, sign up with your email address, and you can continue to study that free course with me. Okay, so go ahead and do that when you're ready, and let's get on with the video. So the next two words, which are very confusing, are minute and minute. So you probably heard of minute, but you might not have heard of minute. So let's have a look at these two words. Minute, it just means one section of an hour, right? 60 seconds is 1 minute. And you can also say in a minute, which means very soon. I need to leave in a minute means very soon. This is minute with the stress on the first syllable, minute. But if this word is pronounced minute, then it means very small or very tiny. Here, the stress is on the second half of the word, so it would be minute. Minute. There's only a minute difference between the two pictures. This means a very small difference. Okay, the next one is invalid and invalid. So these two words actually have a very similar pronunciation. It's just that the stress is in a different place. So let's look at the first one, invalid. So in this word, the stress is on the second half of the word, valid, invalid. This means it's not effective or it can't be used. Invalid. They told me that the contract was invalid. The next one is invalid. So in this word, the stress is on the first syllable, invalid, invalid. This means somebody who is sick, somebody who is unwell, especially wounded in a war or something. So, for example, you could say, "You poor invalid. I hope you get better soon." The next one is object and object. Again, the stress is different. The first one is a noun and the second one is a verb. So let's have a look at these. Object means a thing, just a thing that you might have on a table or on a chair or anywhere. So this is just a thing. There were 3 objects on the table. Here, the stress is on the ob. So it's on the first half of the word, object. Notice that the second vowel is actually pronounced I, object. We don't say object. Normally we say object. Slight difference there. And the second one is object. So here the stress is on the second half of the word, object. And this is a verb. And it means to not agree with something, to disagree with something. So for example, if nobody objects, I'd like to change the time of the meeting next week. This means if nobody disagrees, if nobody has a problem with this. Okay. Next is excuse and excuse. So again, the difference is in the last consonant sound. The first one is s, and the second one is z, where your vocal cords are vibrating. Excuse. Okay, so we're going to look at the excuse first. So excuse is a verb, and it's used very commonly in excuse me. So this, we wouldn't say excuse me, it should be excuse with the z sound at the end. For example, excuse me, do you know the way to the station? This is the one that you'll hear a lot. And then we also have excuse as a noun. So this is pronounced excuse. So the stress is in the same place, but the last sound is a s sound with no movement in your vocal cords. And this is a reason why you can't do something, right? Or a reason why you didn't do something. An excuse. I tried to think of an excuse for missing the deadline. So this is excuse versus excuse. So the next one is bass and bass. Again, spelt the same, but pronounced differently. You might know the second one, but you might not know the first one. Bass is a noun, and this is actually a type of fish, especially that you fish for in deep sea fishing. So we could say, I like to go fishing for deep sea bass. But this word can also be pronounced bass. Bass. And this means the low frequency sounds in your music. For example, music with a lot of bass is like boomy music, or you could play the bass guitar, right? The guitar just has 4 strings and is the lowest notes on the scale. So when I'm listening to music, I always like to turn up the bass. Is that something you like to do? This is pronounced bass. Okay, next one is row versus row. Both of these are spelt R-O-W, but different pronunciation. So let's look at row first. Row means an argument, arguing with somebody. So this can be a noun or a verb. For example, I heard a man next door having a row with his wife. So this means an argument with his wife, maybe shouting at his wife, shouting loudly. So this is row. But row, let's look at 2 different meanings separately. This one is a noun, row, and it means a line in a straight line. For example, I saw 3 people standing there in a row. So we would commonly say in a row, plants in a row, for example. And then we also have this as a verb, and this means rowing a boat using oars, okay? Row a boat. So we have the kids' nursery rhyme, row, row, row your boat. Have you heard that one? So this is pronounced row, and it's a verb, very different. So sometimes there can be nouns and verbs in the different pronunciations. Next one, tear versus tear. These two words are both spelled T-E-A-R, but they have different meanings. Tear means to rip something, to rip up a piece of paper, let's say into two pieces like this. Be careful with the picture. Make sure you don't tear it. So in the British accent, this is pronounced with a long diphthong sound. Air, air, tear. But this word can also mean crying, when you have tears coming down your face, like water droplets streaming down your face. This is called a tear. Again, a diphthong sound, but a different one. It's ear, ear, tear. For example, the young boy suddenly burst into tears. Tears. Okay, next we have wind versus wind. Two different vowel sounds. The first one is I, the second one is I. So wind is what we have related to the weather. The wind is blowing. There's a westerly wind today. Now you could also hear it in windy, words like that. So this one you probably know. But the second one you might not know. This is a verb, wind. And this means to go not in a straight line, but in a wavy or a twisting line. So like an S shape. The road winds through the woods. This means there's a very twisty road. It's not straight. It winds. You can also talk about winding something around. So, for example, winding string around a bobbin. Content and content. Again, almost the same, but different stress. So, content means what is inside something, or the information inside. For example, I haven't read the contents of the letter. Yeah, we could also say the content of the letter. That means what's written inside. This is a noun. Content, we stress the con part of the word. But if we say content, this is an adjective. It means happy, satisfied, pleased with something. You could say, I'm content with, or I'm not content with my current job. It means I don't like it. I'm not happy with it. Here, the stress is on the tent. Content. Next one. You might have heard this before. This one is desert and dessert. So, desert is a place that's very hot with a lot of sand, or it can be very cold as well, like the Sahara Desert, the biggest desert in the world, I think. So take plenty of water if you go to the desert. So here the stress is on the desert, desert, the desert. So this is a noun. The next one is dessert. This is a verb, and it means to leave somebody, to run away, etc. Her husband deserted her. Stress is on the z. Deserted her. So this has different stress. And remember that there's also a word D-E-S-S-E-R-T. This is the same pronunciation as this, but it's spelt differently. And dessert with two S's, this means like a cake or ice cream, something that you eat after the main meal, something sweet. So you probably heard this one before, but it's spelt differently. Just a few more left, and then we're going to finish. This one is produce versus produce. The first one is a verb, and the second one is a noun, but they have different stress. So these two words are actually related to each other. They basically have a similar meaning, but one is a verb and one is a noun. So there's a lot of words that work like this, where you just change the stress. The spelling is the same, but it just changes from a verb into a noun. So let's see how this works. Produce. Here, the stress is on the second syllable, the juice. Produce. The company produces electrical products. This is the verb. And so with the verb, in ones like this, the stress will often be on the second syllable. And if it's a noun, the stress will often be on the first syllable. So this is produce, produce. For example, the shop sells all kinds of fresh produce. So this means products, things that are produced. So the verb will be to produce. And the thing that you produce, the noun, is produce. Can you hear the difference? The first one was produce, and the second one was produce. A verb and noun pair. Let's look at another example of this. Present versus present. The first one is a verb. So here the stress is on the zent, the second syllable, and this is because it's a verb. Present, that means to offer something to somebody, to show somebody something and give it to somebody, to hand in something, to offer. He presented the report to his boss. Okay, and something that you present, the noun, would be present, present. So this is a gift, something that you present to somebody. So in here, we got an example. I've got a present for you. I've got a present for you. Here, the stress is on the first syllable, present. Okay, there are a lot of examples like this in English where you have a verb and noun with different stress. For example, increase is a verb, increase is a noun. Permit is a verb, and permit is a noun. Subject would be a verb, and subject is a noun. But I'm not going to go into this in a lot of detail in this video. Maybe we can talk about that again in another video. So that's all for today. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I really hope you learned something new. If you did, don't forget, as always, to hit the like button. If you've got any questions at all, just ask me in the comments. I'll get back to you. And I really hope that you'll continue to follow me and hit that subscribe button because of loads more videos coming very soon. All right, everybody, thanks for watching and see you again next time.